How's everyone doing? How are we doing? Mama, come up with me. I can't tell you how good I feel right now. How good Amy and I and Ulysses and Molly and Henry feel to be here in El Paso with so many good friends and supporters and amazing people who want to do something really great for this state and for this country. So, friends, vecinos, paseños, tejanos, I'm running to represent the great state of Texas in the U.S. Senate. And I want to begin with the deepest gratitude to each of you and everyone in this community for, along with my great mom, Melissa, where is she? And my dad, Pat, and my sister, Charlotte, and our sister, Erin, for helping to raise me, to make me, and to allow me to serve this community in the city council for 4 years in the U.S. House of Representatives, to allow me to work with a great team led by Cynthia Cano here in El Paso, David Weissong in Washington, D.C., where we have worked and we've made a difference for veterans in improving care at the El Paso VA, the services that every single person who's put their lives on the line for this country, who lives in this community, should be able to expect. We've made a difference in supporting the great work that this community and our service members have done to ensure that Fort Bliss is the leading military installation in this country, and that we support the men and women who serve there and the missions that are headquartered there. And you've helped me make the case to the country that the reason that we are the safest city in Texas, the safest city in the United States, is not in spite of, but because of the fact that we are a city of immigrants. And you have held me to my commitments, and you have held me to account, and you have ensured that I'm here every single month in public forums, answering your questions, facing your criticism, taking your best suggestions and ideas, and trying to turn them into policy in law, not just for El Paso, not just for Texas, but for this country. And thanks to you, I think we have distinguished ourselves here in El Paso. And I think we have a lot to be proud of. But if you are like me and Amy, you've been wondering, are we doing enough? Can we be more effective? Should we just wait for things to get better? Should we hope that someone else will meet the challenges in front of us? Or is there something more that we can do? And that's a conversation that Amy and I had back in November. And following that conversation, she didn't give me permission. She gave me direction to hit the road. And since then, we've been all over this great state. We've been in Houston, we've been in Dallas, we've been in Austin, we've been in Fort Worth, we've been in San Antonio. But we've also been in Midland, and Odessa, and Abilene, and Big Spring, in Wichita Falls, College Station, Killeen, and Waco. We've been everywhere that Texans are, regardless of party or background or geography or any other difference that someone else might want to highlight. We all have this in common. We're Americans, we're Texans, we want what's good for this state, we want what's good for this country. And what I'm hearing across this state, and what I think we all feel right now, is that we have an obligation to fulfill our commitments to everyone. For veterans, not just in El Paso, but all over this state, who have borne the battle, but at a time and in a day where more than 20 will take their own lives, we still have wait times to get in to seek mental health care, or veterans waiting years on service-connected disability claims and appeals to get an answer from their government after they so honorably and nobly served. We have service members from Texas now in harm's way, stationed in 140 countries around the world. 6 countries since 2001 when we authorized the use of military force that we've gone to war. One of them in Afghanistan. We're still there 16 years later. And they want to know, we have a commitment to them. Why are we there? What are we fighting for? What's our strategy? What does victory look like? We owe them that. That's our commitment. And for our kids who are in great schools like ours at Vilas and Mesita here in El Paso, or schools all over the state of Texas, they deserve leadership that is not focused on bathrooms, but is focused on making sure that we have better classrooms. And the opportunities in this state are too many to describe. But here are a few that I've heard from folks like you and people throughout this state. The jobs that we're creating in El Paso, a city that's transitioned from being a low-wage, low-skill capital of North America to a trading community, an innovative community, a creative community that's creating high-value, high-skill, high-wage jobs, that's retaining talent and attracting it back here. That's an example. The jobs that we see in San Antonio, where today they will post 1,000 IT openings because that community decided they were going to be the cybersecurity capital of North America. The petrochemical jobs that we saw when we were in Corpus Christi, or the wind energy jobs that helped make Texas #1 in the country for renewable wind energy that I saw when I visited Amarillo. There are jobs that we can capitalize on. There's entrepreneurship that we can support. There are people who have been left behind by this economy that we need to reconnect and ensure that they have function, they have purpose, they have a job with meaning, and they can support their family. That's an opportunity for us here in Texas. And amidst some tragedy and some devastation that I also saw, and survivors that I met of an opioid crisis that is gripping this country and gripping this state and has left hundreds of thousands of our fellow Americans dead in its wake. We have an opportunity to end this failed war on drugs. We have an opportunity, after more than half the states in this union have stopped locking people up for marijuana convictions, have filled our jails so that we imprison more of our own people than any other country, and make sure that we help those who are struggling with addiction, with drug use, find a better way, a connection to the help and the care that they deserve that's going to make them and their families, this state, and this country stronger. That's an opportunity that we have here in Texas. We have opportunities around technology, around innovation, around creativity, around having in Houston, Texas, the most diverse city in America. All of these are strengths that we can build on when we treat everyone in this state equally. But all of these commitments and these opportunities, we're not going to be able to meet them, we're not going to be able to fulfill them unless we have a senator who's working full-time for Texas. A senator who's not using this position of responsibility and power to serve his own interests, to run for president, to shut down the government when there are so many people who've paid taxes into or served in uniform for this government to work for them and every single Texan and every single American. We're not going to be able to do this unless we also have a Senate and a government and a Congress that actually works, that's not more preoccupied and focused on the re-election of its members than the business of this country. And that's why I'm one of the only members of Congress who's not just filed term limits legislation and an amendment to the Constitution, but has voluntarily subscribed to term limits in the House. And if elected to the Senate, I would serve no more than 2 terms in the Senate representing Texas, because I believe in this state, just like I believe in this community. And just like I know that when I was serving in the House, there's someone just as good and more probably better than I am who's going to do a job for this community and represent a different perspective with different experiences, bring a different mindset, and be able to do a different and better job for El Paso. I feel that same way about Texas. So term limits, no more perpetual re-election. Let's ensure that the Congress is renewed and refreshed and reflective of the people that it serves. And connected with this focus on re-election is the constant chase and submission to corporate money and the dollars that buy access and change the outcomes of the legislation, the policies, and the solutions that you depend on. Now, conventionally speaking, this isn't a really smart move on my part, but I'm one of 2 members out of 535 in Congress that takes no corporate money, no political action committees, no PACs. I depend on, I'm inspired by, I'm counting on you, not anyone else. I don't ever want there to be a question on who it is that I'm talking to, who it is I serve, who it is we write legislation for, who it is we're working for. We're working for you. We're working for Texas. We're working for no one else. We're working for this country. So let's not just file the bills. Let's just not talk the talk. Let's walk the walk. And that's what this campaign is going to be about. We also need a senator who's going to provide a check and a balance and will fight when necessary against a president who's focused on building walls or conducting military-style immigrant roundups or banning refugees from a country that was built of refugees. We need to meet this fear, this anxiety, this paranoia that's coming out of the White House and is gripping so much of this country with a strength and a confidence that could only come from Texas. And that's up to all of us. If your kids are anything like mine, like Ulysses, like Molly, like Henry, then you know that sooner or later they're going to come to you and they're going to say, Dad, Mom, in 2017, when all this was happening, when they were conducting religious tests on the immigrants who could come into this country, when they were trying to ban refugees from all over the world who desperately needed shelter and protection that we could provide, who ridiculed the judiciary, broke down the norms and the standards that have made this a great country for more than 230 years. When we were focused on the wrong things instead of the right things that were going to get us ahead and make the most of these opportunities and allow us to fulfill our commitments. Mom, Dad, what were you doing? Were you waiting on someone else? Were you hoping that in 2020, 4 years from now, we were going to elect someone better and that was going to somehow magically change our fortunes and the future and the outcomes for our kids? Or Mom and Dad, did you do something about it? Did you get after it? Did you start working right now? We can wait until 2020 and hope that we are successful. Or we can decide that we're going to take back this country and we're going to take back this state and that we're going to do that in 2018 and that 2018 starts right here, right now. So if you want to start now on ensuring that we have a bipartisan, responsive, effective government, let me hear it. If you want to start right now on ensuring for the first time in 30 years that we're going to have comprehensive immigration reform because we have a Senate that works for you in this country. Let me hear it. If you want to make sure that we have high-paying, high-value jobs for every Texan who wants to work, let me hear it. If you want to make sure that we're supporting those service members who are putting their lives on the line and in honoring and respecting their service when they come back to these communities as veterans, and you want to start now, let me hear it. Podemos esperar 4 años para empezar en la reforma migratoria, en creando trabajos para cada tejano que quiere trabajar, en reformando nuestro sistema de gobierno, en tener un Senado que puede representar cada persona en nuestro país, en nuestro estado, en nuestras comunidades. Podemos esperar hasta 2020 para tratar cada persona con dignidad y respeto. O podemos empezar ahora, aquí, en esta comunidad y en este estado. So let me ask you, do you want to do this? Do you want to win in 2018? Are you with me? Because I'm with you. Let's do this.